What it means to be a pet owner to me is taking 100% responsibility from the moment you decide that you're bringing that dog into your home. Too many people give away their dogs. They feel that they're too much work, they weren't what they expected, they get old and sick, and it's too much for them, they can't handle it, and then they give the dog up. I'm Cindy Arenstam. We're here in my home in Little Italy, San Diego, and my favorite animal is the bulldog. I've always loved dogs. I remember at 4 years old, we had a dog. I loved this dog. It was a Scottish Terrier. His name was Mac. Ever since then, every single time I see a dog, I light up. I stop conversations and I'll go run and talk to someone's dog. In real estate, most agents, the way we work is we set our goals based on how much business we want to do, how many sales we want to have, how much money we want to make, and none of that ever drove me. I was never excited by it. And when I started thinking, I'm driven by helping people and helping dogs. So when I decided to donate to animal rescue with every home that I sell, what I did was I figured out how many dogs I want to help, and then I backed out how many houses I needed to sell. Winston was the greatest dog that ever existed. He came into our hearts now 16 years ago, and it was really love at first sight. It's so crazy to describe. He was kind of this like little fatty, little short and stout bulldog, the typical bulldog body that you see. And we just knew, we were like, this guy is so independent. He's got such a strong personality. He needed to come home with us that day. He was like boss man from the beginning. In fact, the breeder said they called him the boss. He had a zest for life. He loved people, dogs, playing, eating, everything. He was a happy dog, and he just lit everybody up that saw him. He brought my boyfriend and I together even closer because we were only just starting to date at that time, and Jim didn't know what he was doing with the dog, and I've had dogs before, so it was a really nice connection to really bring us together. Winston he was the glue. Our lives, we created around him at that point. To me, it felt right. It felt like this was our family, this is how it belonged, and we just brought him home and loved him from the beginning. Winston had the most clear eyes of any bulldog I've seen. There was something deep in there. I felt like he had a very deep soul that you could just connect with, and he kind of got you. He wasn't a cuddler. He never gave kisses. Winston never would give a kiss. I gave him 1,000,000 kisses to make up for it. A bulldog's life expectancy is roughly 8 to 10 years. So anytime you get to 8 years old, any day after that is a blessing. We moved to San Diego in 2015. So Winston was 10 years old at that point. Everything we did for the cross-country move was for his comfort. So normally we would have flown across the country. There was no way I was going to drive across the country, but we drove across the country for Winston. And when we got out here, we took him to the beach, and Winston loved it. He loved the sand, he loved the water. It was the first time that he ever had gone into the water. He just lit up. He was so excited. We got him a life vest because he's a bulldog. We weren't sure that he would know what to do or know how to swim. We also walked him through Seaport Village. We would take him through the streets of Little Italy. He just liked to be out in the sunshine. He loved being around people. All these different places just to get him to explore and experience new smells, new sounds. And he loved every moment of it. And it felt so good to be able to have now a senior dog who is living out the last years of his life, however long they were going to be, living in paradise. I mean, it's America's finest city. So happy that we were able to do that for him. When we really noticed deterioration, it was when he turned 13. Right around that time, we had him out here. We took him to the art walk. He didn't want to go back home. He just wanted to keep walking north. So we just kept walking. Knowing that he was 13 years old, I know he's not gonna make it back 6 blocks. It was just too much for him at that time. We had a radio flyer wagon and we got it for him, figuring he'll wanna go into it, it'll make life easier for him, doesn't have to walk as much, but Winston being the independent big boss dog that he was, he didn't like to be in it because he was confined and he wanted to be independent out there walking on his own. We get him in the wagon and he doesn't like it, he's trying to get out, but I'm holding him into it. We get all the way back home. We started to get him to get out of the wagon and he jumped over my shoulder and he landed right on his back on the concrete sidewalk, smack hard on his back.
I met Winston the beginning of June 2018, and he had decided to take a flying leap out of a wagon and it hurt his back and was having neurologic problems. He had disc material that was pressing up against his spinal cord. We did acupuncture and water therapy and exercise to try and rebuild his strength and improve his mobility. 67% of animals that are euthanized are not euthanized from life-threatening illness. They're euthanized because they can't walk.
After his fall, he was a different dog, but he wasn't sick. We looked at him, we thought he was injured, and that was it. This is an injury, we're gonna get him better, and then he'll be the same old dog that we've had now for 13 years.
He had been improving, and we were really happy with his progress, and he was able to do more exercise in the underwater treadmill. He was able to do more of his land-based weight-bearing obstacle course type exercise. And then all of a sudden, he started to go the other way. He started to lose his stamina. He wasn't able to walk for very long in the water. He was having some respiratory issues. I was concerned because that shouldn't have been happening.
He progressively got worse. It was our vet who looked at an x-ray. She actually looked at it and said, his spleen looks different in this x-ray from this one. We weren't even looking at the spleen. She saw that and said, you should probably just go get an ultrasound.
He did have some x-rays done, and I had some concern about some of the shapes and shadows I saw, and so I thought he should be seen by a specialist.
After they did the ultrasound of the abdomen and they came out and they said to us, great news, it looks like it's benign. It looks like there's something there, but it looks benign. And we're working on the chest right now. We're gonna check out his heart, but he should be fine. We were like, oh, this is such a great relief. We didn't think he had any heart problems because we were here for this odd-shaped spleen. When they came back out, they did the motioning to come here into the small room, and he wound up having a heart problem. He had a tumor on his heart. He had fluid around his heart. He had kidney disease. We both looked at each other and it was just like, that was it. We're like, your life is completely changed. We had to figure it out, that next step. And we just loved on him every single moment, more so than we already had. It's just a different type of love.
My job is to try and give the owners all of their options. So I look at medications, nutraceuticals, therapies, any other specialist that might be helpful, because a lot of people are unaware of what's out there that can be really helpful.
What do we need to know for this next transition, for this next stage? What do we have to know? What do we have to do so that we're prepared and not making decisions from a place of panic and despair and depression? In Winston's last year, we did anything and everything that we could to help him. We started with the acupuncture and an underwater therapy treatment, an agility course to help rebuild his muscle tone, had the dog cardiologist, there was a bunch of heart medications. We did everything that we possibly could to make sure that Winston had the best life.
Walking in the underwater treadmill with water up to the shoulder takes off about 60 to 70% of their body weight, but it makes the work 3 times more difficult. So 5 minutes in the water is the equivalent of a 15-minute walk. So you get a tremendous workout with little to no impact in a short period of time. So euthanasia is the process that we use to peacefully end an animal's life when their quality of life is poor and their suffering is great. For a lot of animals, by the time you get there, it's a mercy. They're in a lot of pain. They can't function very well. Usually the dogs let you know. They kind of lose the sparkle, they lose the brightness in their eyes. Generally, I tell people if they have more bad days than good days, it's time.
There was a look that he gave us that we knew this was the end. It was almost like he was asking for us to let him go. Jim and I just looked at each other and we just knew, like, okay, this is happening.
You know, if a dog has congestive heart failure, they suffocate. Who would want that for their dog, right? So it's a mercy to end things before it gets to that point. Then that puts an end to their pain.
Winston, in 14 years, never, ever gave a kiss. Before he died, he kissed me. That, to me, told me that he felt it. He knew what we were saying. I'm just glad that we were there for him all the way through the end. The vet came in and they gave him the first shot. Winston took in the deepest snore. And that was it just actually, through all the tears, it made me crack a smile and I laughed because I'm like, that's Winston. And it felt like, okay, he's okay. And then when you give the authorization and they do the next shot and you wait, and I was just holding him and petting him and feeling him in my arms, his heart had stopped. He was gone, essentially. But I still felt connected. And however many moments or minutes, I don't even know, there was a time when all of a sudden I looked at him and I felt, this is just a shell. Like, he's not here. This was his, and he's now somewhere else. And it was a weird feeling to feel in a moment so connected, and he's still right here, even though he had already passed, to that moment of, wow, he really isn't here. I told the vet, okay, you can take him. He couldn't carry him all on his own. So we actually used his stroller one last time. We put him in there and covered him with his blankets. We took like one last walk through the hallways of our building and down to the garage, to the car. They drive off and I said to the vet, drive carefully, because I knew he was taking my baby. So today his ashes rest right by my bedside. We have some little bulldog statues that are there. They kind of guard him, and his paw print is right there too. I get to see him every morning and every night. He's in our bedroom where he belongs. After Winston was put down, I couldn't do anything for 3 solid months. I was in a deep depression. I was trying to work, but couldn't. My heart felt like it was ripped out. I felt like there was such pain in my heart from this heartbreak of losing him, and I didn't know how to go on. I cried so hard every single night. It really became more clear to me that I couldn't stay in this state of sadness and depression forever. He wouldn't want that. It's not honoring him. It's not doing anything. Grieving, there is no timeline for it. There's no right or wrong, there's no normal, there's just, you have to do what's right for you. Work through this grief and kind of grow through the grief. Now I'm able to help so many other dogs. We've since rescued 2 bulldogs and welcomed them into our home. I've been able to donate to animal rescue, and it feels amazing to be able to make that difference. We fostered Harry first. I was not ready to foster a bulldog, even though I was in this funk and I just really wasn't ready. I also felt this dog needs us. It was purely for fostering only. I was not ready to keep a dog. Harry, he is a special boy. He had a lot of medical stuff going on. He had eye problems, needs a lot of medication, he needed a lot of care. And I felt, I don't know that somebody else is going to give him that level of care. Apparently, everybody else in my world knew from the moment that I brought him home to foster that he wasn't going anywhere except for me. We love Harry. He's our boy. And then we decided that we wanted a girl dog. We learned that Olive was coming into the rescue the following day. I saw her picture and I went, that is my bulldog. I need to meet that dog. Brought Harry, they met, they ran around together, they played, and they got along great. And we thought, okay, this is it, let's do it. And we brought her home. Having two dogs is very different than having one, especially one like Winston, who was so independent and he just did his own thing. Harry, has his own quirkiness and uniqueness, and then bringing in Olive, who is much younger, has so much energy. It's funny to see the dynamic in the two of them. They're true city dogs, and they're loving life. They're having a great time. I help buyers and sellers find their dream home. I also connect dogs to their dream home and their dream family, and I do that with donating to animal rescue with every home sold.
I've met Cindy when she moved to San Diego and met her through Bulldogs and have become good friends with her through Bulldogs, and she is kind enough to donate to Project Save a Bully, donate to the mission, and it's because of people like Cindy that we can save these dogs. People don't realize that you can rescue a bulldog. This is a rescue bulldog. This dude was ditched in a box, left in a box. He's a rescue, an amazing dog. So before you just go out and buy a dog, reach out to me. Let me try to connect you with some good people.
She's been a wonderful supporter of rescue. We're so grateful for all the events she organizes and also the donations that she's made. Bulldogs, they're an expensive breed. They have a lot of expensive health issues, and the money's made a huge difference in allowing us to get the dogs in the best shape that they can so they're ready for adoption.
Oh, the journey of having Winston in our lives for 14 years was just incredible. It's something that I didn't really expect because we know the lifespan is a lot shorter than that. To look back and see all of the things that we were able to do together as a family, it feels amazing. Seeing all of the comments, the posts on social media, the friends that reached out to us, I didn't realize what an incredible impact this one dog had on so many people. Somebody I know got a bulldog because of Winston. Wow, he's really had this impact on so many others. And that's why I've now wanted to create this legacy for him. I know he's proud. I know it's what he would have wanted.